Bacon cell forever. BaconBit forever.
Yes.
BaconBit forever. That's what we're going.
BaconBit forever.
Forever.
Do we want to do this forever? I don't know.
BaconBit.
Yeah. Maybe
hi.
20 minutes, maybe not forever.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Hi, listener. We're here right now, sans Zack.
Yeah, he may show up at some point.
Because we went to the screening of Wakanda, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Listen, and it's not like I didn't invite him this time.
We tried. But I was going to say, he had some stuff going on. He wasn't able to make it.
Well, I think he just didn't want to see it.
It could be that too.
In fact, if he shows up, we're going to ask him.
Yeah.
And if it's a real reason, we'll just be like, oh, yeah.
He may show up in the middle of this BaconBit, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, but we did go see this movie.
Yes, we did go see Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Mm-hmm. And we went and saw all 2 hours and 41 minutes of it.
Mercy.
161 minutes.
Do you hate that at this point, going to the theater, you get the commercials and the trailers you've probably already seen online. Mm-hmm. That's about 20 minutes.
Yep.
And then this movie, which we stay all through the credits.
Yep.
So that's a 3-hour experience.
Can we give a very, very, very minor spoiler here right at the beginning?
Wow, really? You're going to do this?
Very, very, very minor.
Are you just saving people time?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Then do that one.
Because there's nothing after the credits.
There is a early credit scene.
Yeah, there's like a early mid credit thing they call it.
Yeah.
But we waited all the way to the end, and then it was just over.
But there's a song at the end that people should hear.
We did say that.
I think we're totally starting in reverse and giving like, here's what happens at the end of the movie.
No, there's nothing after the closing credits, but there was a very unusual song right at the end that both Kent and I looked at each other and we're like, what?
Someone chose this.
Is this? Someone chose this.
Someone's nephew wrote the song, I think.
They got a Casio in their basement. He's got his own studio in his basement.
What if it's like a world famous recording artist and we're just making fun of it?
It could be, but it was a weird song.
It is a weird song.
But yes, we're going to start at the beginning, story-wise. Spoiler-free.
Yeah.
Yes, we did spoiler the fact there's nothing at the end of the credits, but spoiler-free here at the beginning. We're going to give a review for Wakanda Forever. Kent, you want to give the synopsis of Wakanda Forever?
Yes, I do. The people of Wakanda fight to protect their home from intervening world powers as they mourn the death of King T'Challa. Now, there's kind of a spoiler right there, and I hope that's okay. I assume that everyone has seen Black Panther from 2018.
You'd think so.
The movie made, what, $1.2 billion, right?
Yeah, it was a very popular movie.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on that movie?
Fine. Like,
yeah.
I think my review said, like, I feel like people are going to hate me for not liking it enough. I liked it.
Sure.
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Chadwick Boseman, I thought, was a very good character.
Sure.
I enjoyed him in that movie. But 4 years for a standalone sequel?
They do this, though. Even movies that make $1 billion. Remember how the old Hollywood system worked where it's like 2 years after? Mm-hmm. Or, for example, think of Harry Potter.
Yes.
They wanted to keep it fresh. Obviously, the kids at a certain age, and it was 1.5 years after, and then there'd be a movie.
Yeah.
There's obvious reasons they're dragging their feet with this movie.
Well, but even Doctor Strange.
Yes.
I mean, that was 2016 when that one came out, and then it's,
They've done the same thing with
5 years?
Aquaman. That came out the end of 2018. It's not coming out till next year.
That's weird to think
5
about.
years.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, sadly, Chadwick Boseman passed away
Yes.
from colon cancer last year? Or the
I
year
believe it was
before?
about a year and a half, 2 years ago. Yeah.
So, I mean, that could have had some reason that they were planning something, but then they found out he was ill. He may have known he was ill during the filming of the first
Right.
movie. We don't know.
Yeah.
But it was, the sequel's been a long time coming.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, I'll jump into the review right away.
Yeah, go for it.
First of all, way too long.
Oh, yeah.
Way
2
too
hours,
long.
41 minutes? Way too long for pretty much anything.
2 hours, 41 minutes is like, if I may put it in Marvel terms,
Go ahead.
that is the Infinity War. That is the end game.
This
That is the
culminating
big
event.
Culminating thing.
Right.
This is another sequel. This should have been no longer than 2 hours.
Yeah, you're right.
No longer than 2 hours. And I can already think of a couple things that they could have cut out pretty easily.
Which we'll talk about.
Let's talk about the spoilerful section.
Yeah.
As I was watching this, my rating was fluctuating. Like, okay, this is, it starts off, I'm just going to let you know a little bit, not spoilers, but just, it starts at the beginning with actually a really nice tribute to Chadwick Boseman.
It does. Yes.
I mean, it's not part of the story. It's the opening credits. But you know how they have the Marvel thing pop up of Marvel
Yes.
Studios, and it shows all the different clips of all the different superheroes and big triumphant music.
It's a good moment.
This has a silent moment, and it's only Chadwick Boseman.
Yes.
And I actually kind of got, wow, that's actually almost got me emotional. It didn't get me emotional, but it got me close. So I was like, okay, nice little tribute there at the beginning. I appreciate that. And then the story started going, and I realized there's a big hole in the heart of Wakanda, and it's Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
The world of Wakanda is not as entertaining without Chadwick Boseman in it.
Yes.
And even Letitia Wright.
Yeah, Letitia Wright.
Yeah, who plays Shuri. She it was one of my favorite things about the first movie. Just I liked her.
Well, it was
and her
her.
attitude.
Yeah, she was very very spunky.
Yeah, light, bubbly fun,
Right.
as opposed to Chadwick Boseman's seriousness.
Yes.
In this movie, they tried to give her the serious role in the mantle, and I think she's a weaker character because.
Well, and it's a very flat character. I thought the role of T'Challa, I thought the character of T'Challa in the first one was a very flat character, but it was the anchor point we all needed.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and now she plays it here, and so you're like, but where's the sidekick effect? And then they try. Anyway, sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, that's exactly right. And then, as the movie progressed, I kept thinking to myself, okay, I see what they're kind of doing here. I see what they're kind of going for here. I feel like there are stakes in the sense of I feel like there was real danger. Like there was a couple moments when I kind of went, oh, that was kind of,
okay.
That's a little creepy.
Sure.
Little intimidating, this opposing force here. And then they try to throw in some humor. I didn't think much of it worked.
Did any of it work for you?
Okay.
Chuckle? Anything?
We went to this movie. At first, there was no one in the theater. They didn't even check. They didn't even check our tickets.
No, I think we could have just walked in.
We totally could have just walked in.
Joel, you're with me. I'm a press member. They knew.
You didn't. We bought our tickets like any other slack-jawed yokel.
Sure.
But we walked in there. There's like no one there, and I was like, "That's weird." But it filled in a little bit after.
Yeah.
But did you get the sense, Kent, that the audience was bored?
Yeah.
Because there was minimal.
And to pull it back to the runtime is I've heard people say, oh, I can't wait to take my kids to the next Marvel movie. I can't wait to take them to Black Panther. And there were some kids in the row in front of us that were bouncing up and down on their seats.
Yeah.
Just kept walking back and forth. I'm like, I don't think this is the action-packed movie that you're looking for.
No, it's not action-packed. There are definite sequences of action.
Okay.
There are.
Literally, you can say that.
Yes.
Yes.
Very, very bloodless.
Captivating action? Yes.
Very bloodless.
Very.
Almost distractingly bloodless.
Yes.
To the point where there was one part when a character was literally pulling themselves off a weapon and the weapon was clean. And I was like, wait a minute.
Sure.
So they were definitely going for that, keeping it PG-13, which is fine. But as it went along, and I just thought the audience was bored because there was occasional chuckles. Occasional. Nothing was big. There were what would have been triumphant moments when a character appears or does something really cool when any other audience would have been, any other movie I should say, would have been like,
yes.
Woo! Clapping their hands.
Emotionless.
No one did anything.
No.
And then usually when you're going to see these things on opening night, the audience claps. And what do I say, Kent?
Yeah.
I say they're not here. There's no one here to hear that. No one clapped.
Nope.
There was literally no applause at the end. And I kind of had this weird kind of like, I'm not going to start it, but really? No one. Maybe they listened to the podcast and finally heard me.
Oh, now they're taking lessons?
But it was almost surreal.
Yeah.
How quiet the audience was. And I think it kind of subdued everybody.
No, it's weird, though, because that first movie, maybe people didn't expect it. Obviously, the publicity behind it and to have a character like Black Panther in the MCU was a big deal, and it made so much money. And I think if they took advantage somehow, even with the story, and I know they can't make a movie without Chadwick Boseman at that point, but they would have caught on to that buzz. Yes. And I feel like it's either too late or it's not the right movie for it.
And that's kind of what I got, is that this wasn't kind of, and maybe it's because, what's the last theatrical Marvel movie we saw?
It was Thor.
Oh, Ragnarok. Not Ragnarok.
Basically, Love and Thunder, yes.
Love and Thunder. So that was raucous fun in the theater, right? I didn't go see it with you guys in the theater.
There were a few people chuckling.
Yeah.
It tried really hard.
But
two wildly different movies, though, obviously.
This really did kind of fall flat for me in that regard, where I'm like, I'm not feeling the emotion. Like the Chadwick Boseman thing I thought was nice. Mm-hmm. But the rest of the movie I thought fell a little flat.
Yeah.
And while there were action sequences, Kent. There were fights.
Technically, there were action sequences.
I don't know what you're saying here.
They undercut so many action sequences without spoiling any. They led to the moment where a character would approach, and then 10 minutes would pass, and you would see the after effects of the action sequence. The whole first half of the movie was this way.
I could see that.
Outside of a car chase.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are they doing here? Entertain your audience.
Well,
the exposition is not working for anybody.
And I did also notice that the fight sequences were heavily edited. These were not cool.
Could you tell what was going on?
Barely.
Yeah, same.
There was one part when I honestly went, wait, where did that character go?
Can we talk about the villains much at all? There's a blue skin effect on the bad
Na'vi.
guys. Yes,
there's the Na'vi.
Exactly.
That was weird. So we saw a trailer for Avatar: Way of Water just before watching this movie.
Yeah.
And then,
which, by the way, super underwhelming.
Yes. But then in this movie, there are literally blue-skinned people who live underwater.
Yes.
And it really got to the point where I went, they had to know. They're going to be drawing some comparisons here. But Anyway, it got over, and I'm bouncing right now, Ken. I'm bouncing between 2 stars and 2.5 stars. 2 stars almost feels mean.
I think you're going to end up being mean. Truly.
Mean?
Yeah. Does this not feel like a setup movie?
I guess.
I think that's where this movie
setup.
That's where this movie falls for me. Is I was thinking, okay, it's the same director, Ryan Coogler. He did a satisfactory job, in my opinion, in your opinion, with the first one.
Yeah.
In fact, many people see it as top tier Marvel.
Not top tier. I'd say very good middle tier.
Same. Yeah. But most people are like, that is the breakthrough movie. Because it's a director having a vision and creating this new world. And the new world was really interesting, right? This new mythology.
It was.
And so I was like, okay, he has his legs underneath him.
Yeah.
Now let's see what he can do in the second act. Let's see the sequel.
Yeah.
And granted, once again, I think this would have been a wildly different movie with Chadwick Boseman in it.
It would have been.
But also, I can't give it credit for that. I also hate to fault it for that. But as it is, this is a setup for a TV show, future movies, future villain/hero stories.
It's a 2-hour 41 setup.
Truly. Truly, I feel like very little is accomplished here.
There is
within its own movie.
I can't get into this without spoiling stuff, so I won't do that.
But I think it's important to know that this is a Wakanda Forever story. I think that's why the title is like Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, because this is an ensemble piece.
Yes.
And in that way, there are strengths here. Angela Bassett plays a much bigger role in this movie.
She does.
She plays the mother of T'Challa and Shuri. And I thought, I think she's dynamic.
Please.
Yeah, she is the queen. Put some respect on her name.
Yes.
I think she's very dynamic, and it's fun to watch her. I think Shuri, I think the actress is, interesting to watch, but it was, once again, a flat role. And, man, the villain of this story,
okay,
and I don't know if we can just leave it there, but the villain of the story was not a good actor. I feel like the delivery felt unnatural.
Like he was trying really hard to sound.
I think it was trying to. It was a lot of just kind of like close face-to-face conversations, right? Getting right up there and whispering in your ear and giving threats or telling stories. I was like, no, I don't see it, and I know they're trying to. I can't even spoil anything. They're trying to do additional things with the character,
right?
But I didn't feel the threat. There's a pretty cool setup as far as like Wakanda is a nation that shouldn't fear anyone on the planet until they have to.
Right.
And I think that is a cool setup.
It is.
But it doesn't lead to anything of significance.
Not really.
Yeah.
But it also, we need to get in the spoiler section.
I know, because we both want to spoil
give
so
your
bad.
review.
I don't want to taint your review at all, but I think when we get to the spoilers, it will. I'm looking at a movie like the first one, and I hate to compare, but I think that movie...
I think you can compare a sequel to the original.
Okay. I think as much exposition as that had about Wakanda and vibranium, this one doubled down.
Oh, it did. Oh, my gosh. We joked around about it so much on the Black Panther one about how it's like, how did this
drinking
happen?
Game.
Vibranium.
Yes.
How did this happen? Vibranium. And there were literally parts when they're like, how is this possible? And I'm like, vibranium. Like, it's just... Because they found this ore, they're able to do things that's like... Not even ore related, if that makes sense. Where you're kind of like, wait, what does that have to do with metal you find in the ground?
Right. And I think there's a real problem there because then they start kind of giving this, whole allegory to greed and colonization. And they bring in governments. And they did kind of talk about that a little bit, but it kind of makes it like vibranium will be the biggest resource in the MCU at this point.
Right.
And to
More
me,
than Eternium.
I guess so.
In Black Adam.
Yeah. And to me, I think it just gets boring that way. It's a metal that can't be destroyed unless you have other vibranium that is apparently stronger.
Because it's raw. Spoiler alert. Gotta stop doing that.
I know, truly. But with that, with the governments and the additional characters, they have way too many subplots that once again is a setup for another movie and goes nowhere here. Other than seeing actors that we've seen in other MCU projects.
Yeah.
I couldn't tolerate it. I was bored to tears. This is a D+.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're going to be the mean one.
I'm the mean one.
Do I got to pull it up then to a 2.5?
And well, no.
Because 2.5 still isn't great. It's kind of that. It's more flat.
Well, 2.5 is like, I can see why people like it, and it's okay.
That's
right?
2.
Oh, okay.
2.5 is I almost liked it. So maybe I do need to give it a 2.
Did you almost like it?
There were parts where I started to be like, okay, I'm on board here. And then it just loses me again because they delve deep into something else or wave their hand and say vibranium.
Do you think there is like an edited cut somewhere here where it's a 2-hour, like really brisk movie?
If I may be so irreverent, shall we say, I feel like when they're in the editing room, they're like, okay, we need to cut this down and get the pace up. We need to cut this part. No, we need to keep that part for Chadwick Boseman. Okay, well, what if we cut this part? No, we need to keep that part. I need to show my vision for Chadwick Boseman. And they kept like, I feel like someone in the room was like, no, you can't touch anything because any other movie you put in the editing room, they would have chopped 20
it's so
minutes
weird.
out.
Like, for example, there is a spear thrown into the ground, and we see the spear for maybe 20 seconds after it's thrown into the ground. And I'm like, why are we watching this? We see a random character, not even on the hero or whatever side, like not a main character, not a named character, die. And we see the inciting incident, and we see the death, and it's like a 2-minute scene. And I'm like, that was unimportant to the story altogether.
Yeah.
Like, why are we doing this?
There were some weird choices there, and I feel like they would have trimmed it down had this not been a tribute movie.
Sure. And like, we can play armchair editor all we want.
Yes.
And maybe we wouldn't make a better movie. But
Probably
sadly,
not.
this is not that better movie either.
Because they made the movie and we didn't.
Yes.
They've made a movie and spent $250 million doing it.
Right.
$250 million.
Is that how much this cost?
$250 million is the budget.
Okay, how did you feel the effects were? I mean, so let's just talk about the action real quick before we get to spoilers.
I thought Aquaman did underwater sequences better.
Yeah, it did.
And even
Which, that was, they threw everything at the fan, right?
they did. Oh, they did.
And it was like this underwater battle, and it was goofy. But it was much more fun to watch.
Then Aquaman?
Yeah, Aquaman than
more fun to
this
watch
movie. Yes.
There was a lot of repetitive nature in the battles that I kind of went, okay.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Right.
Anyway, we should probably get in spoilers here.
Okay, but I will say this.
Oh, yes.
There's an action scene at the end, as in all movies.
There's an action scene.
And that to
There's
me,
a
I was
couple.
like, hey, okay, this could go somewhere. And then in spoilers, I'll tell you why I actually didn't like it and why I think it falls apart.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So let's get on to spoilers.
Spoilers!
Kiss, kiss, glub, glub.
A little bit. Spoilers forever. We're gonna spoil Wakanda forever now, and you just got to deal with
Yeah,
it.
so don't get mad. We're spoiling everything.
We've said it now. We're gonna spoil things. So 5, 6, 7, 8. Here we go.
Here we go. All right, you said there was a giant plot hole somewhere, and there are 7. But what is the main thing you were thinking of?
Well, it's not even like the giant plot hole as much as it is. So, okay, I loved at the beginning of the or at the end of the last movie, Black Panther, when it's like, you know what, Wakanda is going to reach out and help everybody.
Yes.
And at the beginning of this movie, they're like, it's been years. You haven't. It's been 6 years, I guess, in this universe.
Yes.
You haven't done it. And so, whatever. That was that.
No, they had Wakanda outreach centers that were basically factories or laboratories.
I don't know what was going on there.
Neither.
But it was just weird. It was just weird to me that they decided not to do it. But then, as they're going through it, so the whole thing is this little girl, Rai is her name, I think?
Riri Williams.
Riri Williams, that's it. So they decided they're going to, the military's going to get out. She makes a vibranium detector, which is this apparently huge breakthrough that someone can make a detector that detects this specific type of metal.
Hey, Joel, guess what?
What?
Zach's here.
Hey,
Zach, we're spoiling the
we just
movie.
got the spoiler full section.
Hey, who's Black Panther?
Oh, do you really want to know?
Yeah.
It's Shuri.
It's Shuri, of course.
well,
it's Shuri.
wow.
I want to say Angela Bassett.
that's all
'cause
thanks-
Angela Bassett would be kind of a cool choice,
Thanks
right?
for listening. Bye.
Yeah.
Okay, so like you said, Riri Williams made a vibranium detector, which they kind of barely glimpse.
Well, it was just
but
weird to
it's
me. They're like, no, how
the
did
biggest
anyone?
threat.
How did anyone make this vibranium detector? What? And I'm like, they do that all the time, where they're like, hey, we need to find the specific metal that puts off this specific radiation or whatever. Anyway,
But only one person smart enough.
only one person smart enough. It's a college student at Cambridge. And I was like, okay, whatever. But then the CIA goes and tries to find her, and they go to, like, they're going to arrest her. And then she goes to Wakanda, fights a battle there, and they're like, great, everything's solved. Go on home. And I was like, wait.
Super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Literally, the Navi, I can't remember their names.
Yeah, we're calling them the Navi.
We call them the Navi.
Well, they're supposed to be Atlanteans.
Oh, yeah?
But they call them like, they actually don't have all the rights to the villain Namor.
Namorians.
They don't have the rights to DC's.
Yeah, precisely.
Atlanteans.
So they call them like, it's like Tillamook is where they're from in the ocean.
Yeah. Tillamook. The cheese place?
Yeah,
Cheesy.
it's delicious, a little moist.
So, no, those guys attacked an American mining ship.
Yes.
Killed a bunch of people.
Right.
And that's what they're going to hunt. We're going to get Wakanda because they did that.
That scene was actually okay for me, by the way.
That was the creepy part.
The attack on the tankers,
when the
right?
sirens start singing,
I agree.
and all the people start walking off the boat. I was
Totally
like,
into it.
Whoa, that.
Oh, by the way,
creepy.
never used again.
They did.
They sang?
No,
again?
they did. They sang again in Wakanda when they first started attacking. and people started falling off the edge of Wakanda. The first attack on the land on Wakanda.
Oh, you're right.
Yes, they got them
Okay.
there.
The people in the yellow suits. That was so weird. Okay.
That was. But literally, like, they're saying, okay, Wakanda did this. We're going to start going to war against Wakanda. And then Wakanda says, well, we found out who did it, but we're not going to tell you. And they're like, they're just assuming it's going to be dropped. To me, that was the big plot hole where I'm like, ship was attacked, girl was going to go to jail. Neither one of those are going to be tied up.
No.
And none of them were.
Maybe in Thunderbolts, because that's a movie coming out.
Also,
yeah.
they learn, this is once again a spoiler alert, they learn that the leader of this underwater people,
The Navi.
the Navi, that he is Percy Jacksoning it and getting his power from water. And they're like, okay, let's go. He gets so strong when he gets water on him, so we're going to dehydrate him.
Hold on.
Let's start
You
the final
jump into
battle.
the end?
Yes. Let's start the final battle. Where are we going to do it? Let's do it. They literally say, we're going to do it in the middle of the ocean.
So to set it up for you, Zach, there's like a second act battle, and where the Navi they come to Wakanda, and they basically flood it, and they kill so many people, like, and main characters too. And then
there's a lot of death.
And then he says, "Hey, yeah, there's a lot of
bloodless
death." And he says, "Hey, this is your threat. Give me the scientist who is the new Iron Man. Give her to me."
It's literally true. She's Ironheart.
Or I'm going to come back and kill you. So what do? They don't build like any sort of wall, any sort of barrier. They don't plan for the attack. The Wakandans go to the ocean to fight the Navi, who are from the ocean.
It's generally good sound tactical advice to definitely fight your opponent where they are
On
the
their
most
turf.
advantageous.
Like, for example, let's say we're in a battle with birds, right?
Yeah.
And we tried to just fly.
Which you're never going to be because birds aren't real. But yeah, let's go to the sky.
Let's go fight them in the trees, gentlemen.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's kind of like the logic that you guys use in basically every death metal bracket.
Oh, yeah. Which we
on
will be
Big
doing.
By the way, you should know this, Zach, the Navi people, they can't breathe above ground. I should point that out.
Gills.
They have gills. And the main guy, the main one, Namor, he does not.
Yeah.
He absorbs the air through his skin, so he's different from his other people.
Yeah.
But he's got feather feet.
He's got feathers. He got the little. Who's that guy? Not Achilles.
Where did he come
What
from?
is the Greek? He's the messenger.
Hold on, he flew too close to the sun.
No, not Icarus. Is it Icarus? It's not
It's Icarus.
Is it Icarus?
It is Icarus.
So they can't breathe underwater. Or excuse me, they can't breathe above water.
Yes.
Unless it's like barely above. Like they literally say we can't breathe above water, and they're like sitting, like their heads are bobbing above the water, and they're like, and I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, but they're also normal flesh colored when they're underwater. But then when they get above the surface, they wear these masks, these little breathing masks, so they can their skin turns blue, but they can fight out there.
Yes.
And Zach, you're a fan of memes. I know you know the sauce is under the cheese, or what is it? The cheese is under the sauce.
Yes.
Is that what it is? I can't remember which one it is, but it's the meme
it's been a
where the guy
minute.
just keeps repeating. He's like, I don't know where the cheese is. He's like, the cheese is in the sauce. Cheese is under the sauce.
Yeah, it's the pizza one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole time, every single battle, it kept being like, just pull off their mask. Just pull off their mask.
Yeah, the whole time they're like,
just pull off their mask.
they're like, hey, what's their weakness? I don't know. They're really strong.
They're
and they
really
got
strong.
really cool raw vibranium spears that could beat our vibranium spears. What should we do? True story, Zach. I don't know. Maybe we should take off those plastic masks from
Or
their face.
cut them.
By the way, this is where you were going.
Cut the mask.
This is where you're going. So Namor, or whatever his name is in the movie, because they don't totally have the rights, they trap him in a ship that is a sauna.
Like old men at the country club?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he loses his powers in a sauna.
Heat and dryness, which they knew that was his weakness.
Yeah.
And then they still decide, oh, we're gonna fight them in the middle of the ocean. That made no sense to me. I don't know why. Oh,
There's a lot that doesn't make sense.
yeah. And like I said, the bloodless thing, there's a part where a character, Shuri, gets impaled by this spear. And then she literally breaks it off and starts pulling herself off the spear. It shows a close-up of the spear.
Zach,
Like
we're
the
talking
Urukai in Lord of the Rings?
No, yeah, we're talking a death moment. We're talking spear.
We're
through the
talking
middle of the gut.
Shaun of the Dead, when Mary
Yes.
falls on the rebar and then stands back up, that moment, there's blood everywhere, except no blood. And I just the whole time I was like, I know you're going for the PG-13 rating. Maybe not show a close-up when everyone's going to go like, hey, it's a clean spear. Went right through her cleanly.
It doesn't make sense whatsoever. Also, and I'm going to say this, I didn't say this in my initial spoiler-free part, but this movie takes place at the same beach that Eternals did, apparently. Apparently they wanted to use that filming location.
Yep.
And this movie felt like the Eternals. I'm not saying it was like eternally long or whatever. The
It was.
pacing and the lack of humor that worked felt like the Eternals for me.
Yeah.
There's no "what are those" moment?
No.
Oh.
No, actually,
the life is drained out of this movie.
That's kind of lighthearted compared to this movie.
Yeah.
Black Panther herself does not show up. And I feel like the framing of that works, but because I was like, oh, this is going to be a moment because Shuri's character in the movie isn't ready to mourn T'Challa.
Yeah.
She's like, no, this is, my brother died. I have science. We don't need a Black Panther. And then if she kind of gets wooed.
All the Black Panther herbs have been destroyed because Killmonger burned them all.
And she kind of gets wooed by Namor. But then at the end of the movie, her mother dies. And then she immediately goes...
I thought that actually was a well done... I didn't think they had the guts to kill off the mom.
And there was a lot of guts.
Yeah, they did. But they did
I mean,
kill off...
bloodless guts.
Bloodless guts.
But then she kind of just decides, okay, I'm going to be Black Panther, I guess.
Yeah.
So they do that because of science.
She 3D prints the new heart-shaped herb. She 3D prints the new flower.
You know, have you seen Superman 3?
But why?
That doesn't
vibranium.
go well.
Yeah, it's true. It's
true
kryptonite. Well, it's all going to be two Shuris. They're going to fight against each other.
Kryptonite,
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was a lot of, hey, just kind of believe this is happening.
Yeah.
Right? She's like, did you just make that? Yeah, I made it. How'd you make it? With my DNA balls. Yeah, I'm going there.
It's like this
she
weird
literally
3D model of like it's a DNA double helix kind of thing, and it has these little ball that she'll pull off and stare at it for a bit and then stick it back on and it will change colors. And then she's like, what's the confidence of this? 46%.
How do you feel about Riri Williams? She's called Ironheart.
Okay, so wasn't Ironheart the name of Pepper Potts?
No,
she was
Iron Lady,
Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden.
I don't remember.
She did have a name though, I think.
Okay.
I think it was just Pepper, Iron Pepper.
Okay. I think they realized, hey, we need an Iron Man-esque character. And let's go back. Let's go back 10 years from a comic book that didn't do well and get Riri Williams because it didn't do well.
But here's my question. They announced her in this movie. Does that mean she's not going to get an origin type movie?
Coming next year, Ironheart.
Marvel Studios Ironheart coming to Disney Plus.
But no, she's getting that, but it's not going to show her origin because that was in this movie.
Well, that's Marvel for you.
I know. It's the new MO of Marvel. It used to be like, here's a passing reference to this character. Oh, we'll show you how they were made in this other one.
Well, Spider-Man made his debut in Civil War and then got a movie.
Yeah, which that was I love the way they did Spider-Man. I love the way they did Spider-Man in this universe only because you didn't have to see the story all over again.
That's true.
I liked that. But that character had been hit so many times.
Yes.
Oh, I would have cut out completely if I were in the editing room.
Go on.
I'd have been like, okay, look, I love Martin Freeman. I love
he's in this
Louis-Dreyfus.
movie again,
and no reason whatsoever.
I can tell you the reason, but it's political.
Okay. Yeah.
It's for Chinese movie posters.
Oh, wow.
Martin Freeman is the face of Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
If so, that's
you're probably
not
right.
good. But they could have literally cut out his entire storyline.
Well, that's the thing.
And it would have cut out
20 minutes.
Probably about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah. What they're doing there is they're setting up he and Julia Louis-Dreyfus to be in the Thunderbolts movie, where she is basically the head of the Thunderbolts. It's a Marvel Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. It's all the villains that have been set up in Disney Plus shows and with Black Widow. And that's the thing, because it goes nowhere here, obviously. No. But it's another setup. And it's totally horrible.
And I like seeing Martin Freeman again. It's always weird when he does an American accent, though. But seeing
he's
him,
looking good.
He looks great. Like Julia Louis-Dreyfus said.
Right.
You look good. And I was like, okay, cool, fine, whatever. And I thought he was going to play a bigger role. And then when he didn't,
you want to play Black Panther, huh?
Martin Freeman is Black Panther.
Could you imagine?
Oh, that would get people so mad.
All the memes were that it was going to be Ryan Gosling. So
yeah. Oh, not good.
Yeah, but then it builds up to this huge battle on the ocean, and they're getting ready to fight, and people are dying. People are dying left and right.
Yeah.
And then,
mostly Wakandans, by the way.
Most of
them die.
Which, holy cow, they went out like punks.
Yeah.
I honestly went, okay, like I said, take off the mask. I thought that was what they were going to do, is start being like, okay, just start cutting their masks or taking off their masks, and we can win this. But instead, Shuri and Namor are fighting and
on the beach,
and he's in the desert, so he's losing his power because there's, he's on the beach, not in the water.
Sand. He hates sand.
He hates sand. It gets everywhere. And she blows him up with fire for a bit. And
she does Dracarys.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
And then she's about to kill him, and then suddenly decides, Zach, you're never going to believe this. Mm-hmm. This whole time she's been seeking revenge on killing this man who killed her mother and killed many of her people. And she sought revenge this whole time, and she's got him. She's got him at sword point. You'll never guess what happens, Zach. You'll never guess.
She forgives him.
That's right.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
She has a flashback, or a flash forward, I guess, of the spiritual plane of her mom saying, no, don't give in to hatred. And she's like, that's right.
One thing,
the war
although
ends.
one thing I actually liked when she drank the purple juice. Like everyone generally has a visitation to the nether realm
After she 3D printed the flower.
Yes.
Yes.
And basically, you die for a little bit. You see your ancestors, and you come back, and you're like, okay, let's do this. So she goes back, and hopefully to see her mom, her dad, her brother, anyone from her family, and she sees T'Chaka, or Killmonger, as we know.
Killmonger, yes.
Played by Michael B. Jordan. That, for me, totally worked.
You did it?
It really did, because her character was so void of feeling in this movie. I was like, I think he's her spirit animal. I think the revenge is really important to her. Until at the end, like you explained, her mom appears to her and says, show them who you really are, honey.
Yeah.
And then she forgives. I think the vengeance angle kind of works.
Okay, I can see that. So the movie ends with Shuri sitting on the beach, burning her clothes, don't ask, and just staring off in the ocean. She's staring off in the ocean. And
so
then
Zach, do you remember Lupita Nyong'o from the first movie?
A story for another time.
Right.
Yes.
it's a love interest.
I liked her a lot in this movie. Actually.
Oh, I like her in the first movie.
She was a breath of fresh air when she came out. I'm like,
totally.
Finally, someone with emotion and warmth and actually acting.
So she's actually been for 6 years. Basically, the first time T'Challa died in the blip, she disappeared. She's like, I'm done. This is too much. And so she never even showed up back in Wakanda at all.
Never.
Oh.
That's going to the end. But then at the very end, after Shuri burns her clothes and finally says goodbye, finally cries and mourns, Lupita Nyong'o's character comes up and brings a young boy.
Wait.
What?
Because she's sitting there crying. Credits.
Oh, sure. Yes.
And then it's like a whole song.
Because it is another dedication to Chadwick Boseman.
Yes.
The Rihanna song?
And then, boom, mid-credit scene goes, where are we going to go? Literally the same scene, literally the same place.
Truly.
Lupita Nyong'o comes up with a little boy. And Zach, you're never going to guess it. You're never going to guess when she disappeared 6 years ago, and then she shows up on the beach with a 6-year-old boy.
Boy's about 7.
About 6 or 7 years old, yeah. But she comes up. You're never going to guess.
It's mini T'Challa.
Zach,
What?
you are psychic. Because, yeah.
Although we got it way before Shuri did.
Oh, my gosh, yes. Because I was like, oh, okay, that's obviously his son. And then, like,
he's like, my name's this. Oh, I like that name. My real name's Prince T'Challa,
son of T'Challa. And
I am T'Challa's son.
Which I thought, like,
it's like
they really kind of beat it home, like, okay, you didn't get it. We're going to make this really obvious for the people in the back. And then they have them say that. It's like, yeah, we
I would be curious if there's any sort of relation to Chadwick Boseman with that kid, because they tried that same thing with Thor, where they brought in Chris Hemsworth's kid and all that kind of stuff. So
the Christian Bale's, whatever, God Butcher.
It is another thing that's emotional, but then I look at Joel and I've seen too much Game of Thrones, and I went, well, these guys are going to have to fight to the death. Like, if he's going to be the new Black Panther at some point, he's going to have to kill Shuri, or vice versa. And Joel, what did you say to me? If Shuri kills him right now...
So go 3 stars.
And I was like, actually, that something would happen. It'd be a very bloodless
I wouldn't want
death.
that poor kid.
I know, true story.
Oh man, it doesn't say. I was trying to look it up real quick to see if he actually had a relation to him, because that would be a nice tribute.
So in all, I think this is a real wasted effort. I think, granted, it's been 4.5 years, so people may have forgotten about the phenomenon that was the first movie. This movie will make a lot of money, but it won't make the $1.2 billion like I think we all kind of expected from a Black Panther series.
Well, also, once again, there's going to be an Emperor's New Clothes kind of thing where people won't, because it has that emotional connection to Chadwick Boseman.
So our opinion's almost void.
People are not going to want to hear the dislike of the movie because we're like, how dare you?
But then they'll see the movie and realize how boring it is. I think it will have a huge opening weekend, and then people will not go back to see this.
Probably not.
It's a straight up nap in the theater.
This is not one I would watch again.
You'll probably watch it with your son, right?
Yeah, if they want, but I'll probably be on
in the background.
Yeah, I'll do something on my phone or something.
That's so sad.
It's fine. The thing is, I didn't hate it. It was not. This wasn't hate. This was kind of like
it was just dull.
Yeah,
right. I didn't hate it either.
Duller than a non-raw vibranium blade.
Really dangerous too, by the way.
Seriously, they have these ships, these not spaceships, but like airships that have that shoot out energy pulses, and they're probably made from vibranium.
They are.
And then a dude jumps out of the ocean with literally just no shirt, just shorts, jumps out of the water with a spear, cuts the ship in half. And I'm like, wait a minute.
You know what's stronger than vibranium? Water balloons.
The water bombs.
The Na'vi throw a lot of water bombs, and all that happens is water bursts out like a huge force, which water's pretty powerful, but they're water balloons. And they can break vibranium.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's our review.
I think they totally dropped the ball. I think they needed a lot of help with the writing, saying, okay, we don't have Chadwick Boseman. What do we do? Okay, let's make this a Shuri story of coming to terms with grief.
Yep.
And let's make it set up 4 or 5 other Marvel projects. And they totally dropped the ball in its own movie.
Yeah.
It's a real disservice, I think.
I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would.
Yeah. Or at all.
So let us know if you've seen it. Let us know if you enjoyed it. And if you did, that's absolutely fine.
That's great.
We're not going to get after you too much. But Zach, thanks for joining us here right at the spoiler part. I kind of feel bad you got the end of it. But
He doesn't care.
I don't.
Did you have any interest in seeing this?
0.
Okay.
Why weren't you there again? 0 interest.
0 interest.
But let us know on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We want to hear from you. And if you think Wakanda is forever. Wakanda
At all.
forever.